and welcome back to our committee. One of the big challenges I think that we face is when somebody downloads an app, they click a check mark of terms and conditions, and there's education increasingly about what should or shouldn't be posted on social media, but there's this kind of gray world out there as to what information is actually being harvested, accessed, location, and otherwise. In fact, it was this committee that looked into the fact that cell phone location information was shared with the government during the COVID-19 pandemic, which detailed, people's trips to liquor stores and grocery stores and other public places. So, to our witness, how do we reconcile this now big data world where somebody will download an app, check a box, and all of a sudden their information goes to something that we don't really understand where or the impacts of where that data is going?
Terrific question, especially considering that previous witnesses in this committee from CSE and CSIS said repeatedly that it is up to the consumer, including children, to read the privacy policy and understand what is going on. A lot of my colleagues and members of the committee of the Privacy and Access Council of Canada, they don't get it. They don't understand it. How can we reasonably expect children or anybody else to? I live this stuff. Most people don't. How does it happen? Because largely it's foreign companies. Our laws are obsolete, ineffective, poorly enforced. They do it because they can.
And are we seeing the gaps that you're highlighting being? Can you point to examples in Canada where that's being leveraged for foreign state actors, for other entities that would try to do Canadians harm? Can you point to examples and say that's where we're seeing the consequences of this being played out in real time?
I think it is pervasive. I also, in the last half hour, it took me a few minutes to find the birthdays of all but 3 members of this committee. And to you, an advance happy birthday next week. It's very easy.
Yeah.
Our information is out there. And even if we put bogus information, I mean, you can imagine what my children went through. And they have their online birthdays. And on their real birthdays, their friends say, happy birthday. The algorithms pick up on that. The algorithms detect by the volume of greetings on the real date that's the real birthday. And the other information that is amassed through this hidden data broker system where our information is traded and sold and bid on instantly, the minutiae of our lives are available globally for sale.
I appreciate that, and thanks for the birthday wishes. And I'm certainly much younger than I look, so that's thanks, Chair. So we see, the thing that triggered this study was largely the issue of TikTok and the government banning that on mobile devices, government mobile devices. We saw just a number of weeks ago the government banned WeChat, which has certainly far more closely connected, direct connections rather, with the communist dictatorship in Beijing. So I guess my question is, those are 2 examples that have made headlines that the government has taken action on, but we saw the weather app, or a weather app, be one of the apps that was selling data that led to the government purchased over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic. So I guess more generally, can you provide your insight to the committee in about a minute, if you can, about how we look at this perspective in the big picture, to look beyond just TikTok or WeChat or social media, but the access that we are giving to entities that has an incredible amount of information?
I agree. It's not just a matter of one social media platform or another, or one company or one government or another. This is pervasive, and it's been growing for a generation. what do we do about it and how do we stop it? Yes, education starting at the very youngest ages. Is it too late to put the genie back in the bottle? No. There is so much information about each of us floating out there that we don't even realize that we individually are at a loss. Corporately, people who are the procurement officers who know as much or as little as most people are at the mercy of the vendors. They're not interested in your privacy or yours. They're interested in their commission and their bottom line and their shareholders benefiting.
Now, I am out of time, so I'm going to ask maybe for you to follow up with some information, but would you be able to provide to this committee some specific recommendations? And we're talking largely about the impacts that this has on children, so would you be able to provide the committee with some suggestions, recommendations that this committee could make in terms of being able to address this as specifically with children, but also the much larger societal impact that this has? I don't have time for you to answer that question. Hopefully you can provide that to the committee at a later date.
Thank you. That's a good request, actually.